And now.
Alright, so welcome guys. This is going to be the first of either 2 or 3 races here tonight, depending on how this plays out. Right now they're moving through the first screen, trying to minimize any lag they can, and hoping for a hover drop at the end, which it looks like Orpheus got. So he got the turret despawn in the next room, which saves a little bit of time and lag. Big part of this game is going to be these guys trying to reduce as much lag as possible. There's a lot less lag in the Japanese version, which they're both playing, but they still need to reduce all lag that they can. Right, now our racers are swimming past the totally not Metroids with the wacky water movement in this game. Highlander breaking a couple blocks on the way up there, that allows you to save a few frames in movement because you can start moving vertically a little bit quicker. Highlander also taking a little bit different of a route through the floating headroom than most people. That was interesting. Let's see what kind of patterns we get for this boss. Highlander getting the good pattern. That's the quickest possible kill you can get on that boss. Lets you just kind of back up and keep unloading on him instead of having to damage boost through him at all.
And that's pretty much random, right? We don't have any good way of controlling that, as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, line up on the right pixel and hope you get that pattern. That's about all you can do.
Right.
I haven't really figured out any concrete rhyme or reason to why the boss gives you different patterns. There's a lot of different theories about it being possibly on a global timer, position based. Although I don't think the position based thing is right, because I kinda have made it a point to stand on specific pixels and get different results each time. Alright, coming here through area 2. Highlander doing a really good job of lag reduction here, taking out pretty much every enemy along the way. Missing a jump though.
Yep, it's important to kill all those enemies, and the thing about this game is you gotta make sure you don't fire too early, because even the bullets that you use to shoot the enemies are going to be causing more lag, so it's a lot of like finding the balance between trying to, you know, manage your bullets so you're not shooting too much, but also killing as much stuff as you can.
Yeah. And a lot of times trying to kill stuff as they're coming onto screen.
Right, that's ideal. You want your bullet to hit the enemy the moment it spawns. That way you don't have both your bullet and the enemy both spawned at the same time.
Exactly. Like if all you see come onto the screen is a explosion sprite, you did a good job. They're both moving through the caterpillar room here. Highlander's got a little bit of an edge. Not anything too substantial, but definitely a little bit of a lead. Orpheus has some interesting color palette going on right now. I'm assuming he has a RGB mod or something. His colors are ridiculous right now. Oh yeah, background.
Oh my goodness, background, I'm way off on that.
Dude, where's the link for the control panel again? I'll try to help with that.
Alright, I'll send it to you in a sec. Alright, so it looks like Orpheus is in a bit of a lead, about to enter the boss area. Highlander's only about 1 or 2 rooms behind him, I guess. So.
Oh wait, do I have my screens mixed up?
Yeah, the one with the interesting color palette, I think, is Highlander.
Oh, okay. It says SonOfOrpheus in the stream, so I thought that was his stream.
Oh, do I have it wrong?
I'm so confused now. Hold on.
I don't have it backwards, do I?
No, I think you're right.
Okay, cool.
I'm pretty sure you're right. That was me being confused. Alright, so what we're going to see Orpheus doing here now is a little bit of a glitch on that boss. If you pause while a grenade is inflicting damage on that boss, it just keeps looping the damage through its invulnerability frames. So you can pretty much hit him with a grenade, pause, keep it paused for a set amount of time, and then unpause and the boss will just explode. It's not really a hard trick to do. It was actually in a lot of Nintendo Power literature back in the day. A lot of NES games came with a, hey, subscribe to Nintendo Power advertisement, and that was one of the tips that was on the little fold-out sheet. Alright, Orpheus getting ready to enter Area 3, one of the laggiest areas of the game. I would say second only to Area 8 in lag.
Yep. So in this room here, we see him doing the bottom route, which is, you're always going to do the bottom route, but a lot of players are starting to do the bottom route there, even the second time they pass through here, when you have the ability to go on the ceiling. We used to see pretty much everyone just doing the ceiling, and then people started to switch over to taking the bottom route both times. Just sort of interesting.
I take the middle route the first time through and the ceiling the second time through.
I see. Oh, yeah, you do the middle route the first time and the ceiling the second time, instead of doing bottom both times.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't think it's really too much of a time difference. If it is, it's probably less than a second.
Certainly between bottom and middle, it's about the same. I think ceiling, you're going to be losing maybe a second, but maybe more than that, but not too much more than that. It's pretty close.
Yep. As long as you get through the room, you're good.
Right.
Pretty much. That room, it's so easy to get a lot of extra lag, especially if you're taking the middle route and you miss the jump at the end. You just end up getting a ton of lag because those pop-top enemies drop bombs everywhere.
True indeed. So this room here, those ceiling droppers, the first two sets of them behave really strangely. Like sometimes they'll despawn entirely, sometimes it'll start to drop a caterpillar and then the caterpillar will despawn, or sometimes the caterpillar stays but the dropper despawns. Like lots of strange behavior, and it's all very much dependent on exactly when you jump and when you spawn the first sets of enemies that appear in that room. It's probably one of the harder things to do right. That room right there, probably one of the harder things to do right in this whole area.
Yeah, it's really hard to optimally move through that room and kill all the lag that you need to kill. So
Right,
it's an extremely laggy room.
Exactly, it is one of the main offenders as far as lag goes.
Some tricky jumps coming up on Highlander's screen in a second here. And he missed the first one too, the boxes. Oh, he's not even going for him. Okay, that's probably smart. Those are two really, really hard jumps to make. Really tight timing on them.
Mm-hmm. Here we see Orpheus doing this room backwards. Reminds me of your stream. You always face upwards for these guys, right?
Yeah, I do that. I used to not do that, and then I realized it's a good way to kill the enemies as you're moving through, because a lot of times you'll get trolled by a couple of those enemies shooting at you while you're moving down, and because of the
Huh.
way the spikes are laid out, you really can't dodge them properly.
Really, I've never had a problem. They will sometimes shoot after you, and I think there's always a way to avoid it. It's a little tricky sometimes, depending on what pattern you get, but I haven't had to stop before. But I'm wondering if it's worth killing them just for lag reduction purposes, because maybe when they do shoot, having that bullet on the screen is going to waste some time. So that's worth exploring.
Yeah, it's just something I started doing. I mean, I don't see any harm in doing that strat. It's cool to see other people starting to do that now.
Yeah, it's certainly no harm in it, and I'm wondering if it actually is going to be helpful for lag reduction. But anyway, we have a boss fight going on here. Probably the hardest one in the game, I would say. Oh man, that third to last one got away from him.
Yeah, he still recovered nicely, though. Minimal
Yep.
time loss.
He's pretty much stayed on the cycle. I mean, you got to know the order in which they will reappear. If you don't finish one off, it'll disappear and then, or I mean, it'll turn to red. Then the next one will appear, and then it kind of goes around in a cycle and then back to the first one that you missed. And so keeping on top of that and just making sure you know exactly which one's going to activate next is really important. You can waste a lot of time if you don't get the cycle figured out.
Yeah, and even if you do have the cycle figured out, it's just a really, really rough boss fight execution-wise. It's really easy to get like a bad movement pattern from the boss, because the boxes are always going to spawn in the exact same location, but what direction they move can vary sometimes. So if you get one of them moving a direction you're not expecting, you're probably not going to kill that box on its cycle, and it's just going to end up snowballing on you, and you're going to miss more and more of them.
Well, we're at the super death part of the Blaster Master run, where we've got like 20 seconds just of dying.
Yep, a total of, that would be 8
6
deaths.
8 deaths there.
8, the 2 after the boss, and then the 6 on the way back to Area 1, and then 1 more after the hover farm, so 9 deaths.
Bloodbath part of the run. All right, we see Orph going after those that hover. It's definitely worth, because especially now when we use the death warp to go back to the beginning of this room here, it's now especially worth it to hop into the pit to pick up hovers that spawn over the pit.
Yes, it's just going to make the death abuse quicker when you take the death warp eventually.
Yeah, so like what he got there was basically perfect. I mean, he could have maybe had those spawners spawn a little faster, but the way he didn't need to take any extra damage when SonOfOrpheus died, that was perfect right there.
Yeah, indeed. That's how you want it to go. Maybe with quicker drops, but that's pretty much how you want it to go.
So let's see if Highlander can have some better luck on the hover drop. It looks like he's already having better luck. He just got 2 of them in a row right there. If you can get that third one.
Enemies decided they no longer wanted to spawn for him. There he goes. Alright, he got it.
There he gets it right there. Okay. Yeah, okay. I call that the coffee break. The enemies you're waiting for just decide they're going to go on break instead of showing up to fight you. Okay, we're doing the underwater screen scroll. A little bit easier to do than the regular, what do you call it, door reversal trick. When you're in the water and you're coming down from one of your swims, from one of your paddles, on the way down, you can sort of hug the edge of the door without triggering it. And the moment you hit the ground, you can turn around. And it's a little bit easier than trying to walk into the door and then turning around, because you don't run the risk of accidentally walking into it if you go too far.
Yeah, you're essentially just buffering the away input by swimming down in front of the door.
Mm-hmm.
It works out really, really nicely. Orpheus opting to kill both of those swimmer guys in the middle of that room. Usually people swim under them. I wonder if that's got any lag implications, both good and or negative.
Oh, all these swimming sections are really sensitive with the lag, so I would expect there is some difference. I mean, I think that these rooms here are probably the ones that could still use the most optimization. Not that they're bad, the routes that we use, it's just that, I don't know, there's so much lag that can't be avoided even if you do the so-called lagless strats, that I feel like somewhere down the line someone's going to come across the optimal way of doing it and end up saving a lot of time here.
Yeah. Because, I mean, sometimes I get, obviously, better lag RNG than others, and I've seen a pretty massive swing in my Area 5 splits just due to randomness, due to lag. Alright, so coming up shortly on Orpheus' stream, we're gonna get to see Zoidberg, the Area 5 crab boss. He's gonna attempt to do a glitch to trivialize the fight, but it is a lot easier to pull off now than it used to be, but it's still something that can be failed.
Right, and in fact, well, let's see if he gets it first. Let's see. He's pausing a little early. He's starting with the pause mash. Yeah, and then the moment you see that screen turn black like that, you know he's got it. And all you really need to do there is pause the game while the fade out is happening. So there's the siren goes off a few times, and then the screen fades to black, and as long as you pause while that's happening, you get to work. So what is actually happening here is that you're able to exit the boss room while the boss is spawning, and that causes the boss to spawn in the previous room. And the difference between fighting the boss in the previous room and this room is that you can go to the left in the previous room. You can go all the way back over to the left, and the game doesn't really know how to draw the boss anymore. Like, it doesn't understand your X and Y positions, so the boss's AI gets all screwed up. And that means that the boss doesn't shoot its bubbles, and it doesn't fight back, and it doesn't move around on you. So you can get a perfect boss fight pretty easily like that.
Yeah, it's a trick that used to be a lot harder when we were all running the North American version. Because in that version, you have to do a single frame trick to get the glitch. You have to leave the room on the exact frame the screen goes black. Whereas this one, you have an 8-frame window that you can pause in, and you're able to pause buffer it if you're early.
Right, yeah, you're actually initiating the trick in two completely different ways on the US versus the Japanese version. In the US version, you get it because you're exiting on the one frame that the fade out is beginning. Whereas pausing at any point during the fade out breaks the game in Japanese version. In fact, you don't even have to exit the room. You can pause while it's fading out and just stay there in the room with everything kind of glitched out.
Yeah. It's just one of the things that has made life easier since we switched to the Japanese version.
Right. It's still... Yeah, it definitely is worth it for this tournament, because otherwise we would see these races be really close, and then someone would get to the crab boss and fail the trick a bunch of times, and game over and forfeit, and the other person would win. So we would have a lot more randomness. Alright, we see another person using the safe strats. We saw some safe strats on our last race because one of the players missed that jump. So yeah, SonOfOrpheus kills that caterpillar and jumps above rather than doing the leap of faith. Kind of a tight jump, where if you fail it, you fall all the way down to the bottom of that room and you have to die to get back to the top.
Yeah, missing that jump is, at bare minimum, a life and 20 seconds of your time.
Mm-hmm.
And at worst, about a 45-second time loss if you don't take the death and you just go back the normal way.
Right, yeah, taking the death is huge, but if you don't happen to have the lives to spare, you can still get back there, but it's going to be a lot slower.
Yeah, it's easier to just not miss the jump.
Right. Yeah, and to be honest, doing it the safer way, jumping above that platform instead of below it, is not really that much slower. You're looking at maybe a couple of seconds.
Yeah, it's nothing massive at all.
Right, if you can master shooting that one caterpillar that you need to kill really quickly and then jumping up there into the little gap, you can do it probably wasting less than 1 second doing it the safe way.
Probably less than that even. I'd say it's only maybe a half a second.
Right, yeah, if you're really
so
clean
minor.
with it, yeah, it's really minor. It barely stops at all. So you don't even need to do the risky strats, but people still do because it's less complicated, really. It's just one cue you have to get right.
Yeah, it's just so muscle memory for me at this point.
Okay, we see death on these spikes here. This is a good spot. A really good spot to die. Because you
Really
can take all that
quick.
damage in the previous room
Highlander opting to not grab the hover from the breakable blocks.
Yeah, the homing missiles. Yeah, right.
Or yeah, homing missiles. Don't know why I said hover.
Well, that's still an H, but yeah, it's the homing missiles get used in a couple of places in the ice level here. There's a bunch of optional uses, and one use that's almost required as you're exiting after the boss. There's a room where it's so much better to have them.
And we see Orpheus finishing the boss of this area. He didn't get the zombie glitch, and what the zombie glitch is, it's where the boss will start exploding like it's dead, but it'll still be moving around and trying to kill you. And at best case scenario, it's going to eat a lot of time off your run. Worst case scenario, it's going to kill you while it's still flailing around and kill your run completely. But fortunately, that glitch doesn't happen too frequently in the Japanese version. It has to do with lag, why it happens, and because there's less overall lag in the Japanese version, it makes that glitch less frequent as well. Now we have Orpheus taking the Death Abuse in Area 4. Because he glitched through the gate to get to Area 5, he can't get back through the gate to the start of Area 4 without game overing and warping back through on a death warp.
That's right. You can't get back without the death warp. And back into Area 1 here for Son of Orpheus, picking up that flashing H. I think that's still worth getting, right? You do still want to get that flashing H rather than try to get it off of random drops.
For this category, yes, especially. Well, it depends. If you're going for both Area 7 skips, it's not worth grabbing.
Okay, I see.
You're better off just taking that extra second climbing up the wall on the way to Area 7. If you are skipping the first or second Area 7 skip, it's absolutely worth grabbing that flashing H.
Sure, because there's lots of little minor uses of it in Area 7, but
yeah, there's
the major one is the one right before the boss.
Yeah. There's a lot of minor half-second, 1 second time saves if you have hover here and there that add up quickly throughout Area 7. If you're doing both of the Area 7 skips, though, your only use for hover really would be to get off of the wall, the vertical climb in Area 2 right before you enter Area 7.
Right.
And that you're better off just eating the second extra climbing up the wall than grabbing the hover, because you need to drain your hover completely anyways to be able to do the Area 7 skip for the visual cue. But
over here go ahead.
I don't anticipate seeing anybody really go for the first Area 7 skip in this tournament.
You don't think someone who's really far behind? I mean, it's a hard thing to
I
practice.
plan on going for it if I'm way far behind, but yeah. I don't really see too many people going for it. It's so much RNG and so just not race safe.
Definitely not race safe. Alright, here's the Area 7 we've talked so much about. The normal way of doing this is it's a pretty long level. There's a lot of rooms in this level. But we have a variety of sequence breaks that can be done here. And which ones players do and how they set them up, we're going to see a bit of variation in. So we'll find out in a moment which ones Son of Orpheus is about to do.
I could see Orpheus going for the second skip.
Yeah, that seems to be the best compromise for this race. And he is picking up the flashing P. That's a 4-bar health refill. It is maybe a few frames slower to get it versus doing that room slightly differently, but totally worth it, I think.
Yeah.
If there's any question at all about your health, don't even think about it. Just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's any slower at all, it's like you said, a matter of frames.
Matter of frames, I think. It's very close. I think that if you do it the other way, when you go across the cavern, or like one of the little openings, one of the little Swiss cheese holes, you can go like from down to right in sort of a diagonal direction and cut a corner just a little bit, and that's where the frame savings is from.
Yeah.
Versus going straight right, straight down, straight right. You have that brief moment where you're corner cutting a little. That's why it's different. But still very close. And we see some hover usage right there from Orpheus.
Now he's going for the second Area 7 skip. What he's going to do is he's going to do the door wrap glitch 4 times to offset Jason's internal positioning. Then he's going to enter the door on the right into the next room. From there he's going to crawl along some platforms. If he was to just walk off of these platforms, it would do a pretty large amount of damage to him. By crawling and... oh, that's bad. He took that extra bounce. He's going to have to suicide jump it now. Yeah, he's soft. He might be soft locked. Uh-oh.
Alright, there we go, and he's gonna... This is the one case where we allow people to do soft reset. You can't be doing soft resets in any way. Like, we say no reset warps, and by that we mean that you can't use it to warp ahead in the game. You can't use it to gain any time. But because we don't want people to have to... We want people to go for these tricks and you know, take some risks and actually, you know, try to do the cool tricks, but we don't want people to end up losing the race entirely or being knocked out because they soft lock, because it is super easy to soft lock in this game. You can even soft lock because of things that are completely beyond your control. You weren't even trying to do anything cool. The game just soft locks on you. So we are letting people reset back to level 1 and return to where they were. But that is going to be a real bad situation for SonOfOrpheus because he was pretty far away from Area 8. That's maybe one of the farthest points where he could have had that happen. Yeah,
the skip he was doing there only cuts out the last 30 seconds of Area 7, so he was pretty much all the way through the side view area.
Right, he's going to be losing probably about 3 minutes total because of that.
Yeah. If I was him, I would go for the first skip.
Because if he... Yeah, right, because even if he gets
the
skip...
you're back in it. If you miss it, you were losing anyways, and you might as well forfeit.
Right, yeah, exactly. If you miss it, yeah, you're done. If he went for the second skip, I'm not sure if it's... I don't know if he would still have any chance of winning if he went for the second skip and got it. Because he's so far behind now.
No, I mean the first skip.
Right. So I'm saying I think you do have to do first skip if you want to have a chance to win. Unless he's going to go for the safer one and hope that something goes wrong on Highlander's run.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. Highlander's going for the second skip right now. Let's see if he maybe fares a little bit better than Orpheus did. He's playing it really cautious. Which can be bad on this screen right here, because it can lead to taking extra... Oh, he died. He might be soft locked too now.
Yeah, because you respawn without... Oh wait, where do you respawn? Is he in the wall?
He's in the wall.
Oh man.
He didn't crouch before he walked off the platform and he ended up dead. It's really important that you do not die in that room, because if you do, your game's going to soft lock.
Yeah, the game just does not know where to respawn you because of the way you entered that room, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, so we had the double soft lock. So strange.
Yeah.
Well, we're back in the pretty much the same positions these two were before.
Yeah. It's... Welcome to this Groundhog Day edition of Blaster Master. Alright, it's going to be interesting to see if either of these guys go for that skip again. I don't know if either of them are aware of the other one's position in the race or not. Because I know when I race, I like to not know where my opponent is. And I tell people to not tell me in my chat where my opponent is unless I specifically ask them to. But then you have some people who actually like knowing where their opponent is. Alright, Orpheus is looking good this time. He will get the skip and be able to continue on. Now he's got 1 extra life, so he can fail the lava skips once, but he's going to hope to not fail him at all. What he's going to do is he's going to use the enemies here to damage boost and get across these pits. Normally walking into the lava there is an instant death, but if you are in your invulnerability frames from taking damage from an enemy, it gives you a small window to where you can actually walk across the lava. Interestingly enough, while you're walking across lava or water in your iframes, it controls like you're walking on ice. Okay, so we have Orpheus at the Area 7 boss. He's going to do the pause glitch we talked about earlier to try to dispatch him. He's also going to be standing at the top part of the screen here above the boss. That's a strat developed by 09, slightly before AGDQ. A lot of us were trying to fight that boss from the side and losing runs to it, and then he came out of nowhere and was like, hey, you guys should do it this way instead. Quit being idiots. And we listened, and we realized we were idiots.
Yeah, I think the thing that people weren't really realizing is that you can't get hit by the frog if you're all the way up there at the top of the screen. The frog, that part of the frog's body isn't going to hurt you. Hey, Lucky H for SonOfOrpheus. There's a few chances you have at getting a hover drop. You have 3 chances on the way to Area 8.
You have 4 if you want to be really slow and wait for the second pink caterpillar in the first room of Area 8, but that's so...
Oh, that's true. You can get
time inefficient, it's not worth it.
Probably not. Yeah, with that amount of time, you could just slowly set up the spike jump instead. So we return to Area 3 in order to get to Area 8. The thing that we have now that we didn't before is Wall 2, which lets us, well, besides screwing up everything, it lets us climb onto the ceiling. And that is the sequence item that's needed to reach the next level.
Yep. And it is possible to get knocked off the ceiling in that room by the sine wave flyers that randomly spawn, and if you do, it's not like run ending, or well, it is run ending usually if you have a really good PB in this game, but it's not like run killing in a race. It's just going to cost you a little bit of time.
Yeah, you're going to have a bad time either way, but yeah, pretty bad.
Orpheus going with I Love Mario strat to get into the little cutaway there in Area 8. There's multiple ways of getting in there.
Yeah,
they're
I
all
like that
about
method.
the same speed.
Mm-hmm. It's a good method, though. It's pretty consistent.
Yeah. I think the way I do it is frames quicker, but nothing really worth writing home about or anything. It's literally frames.
Well, great health for Orpheus coming into this last corridor here. Or not last corridor, the last really difficult room. And he knows the patterns, being a little bit cautious. He made that jump. That was really good. And there we go. The rest of it from here is not too bad other than the lag. It's mostly just lag management from here on out.
Yeah.
And the lag is not helping him at all there. He just got maximum lag in that room. But yeah, with this amount of health, I don't think this room here is going to give him any trouble. Choosing not to do the ceiling strats and that turnaround part. So, what's going on with Highlander?
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering.
Is he trying to pick up? I'm trying to see if he wants to farm something or if he's taking some alternative route.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
It may be that he didn't practice doing this level the normal way, and he doesn't know where the boss room is if you don't do the skip.
Maybe. Or no, maybe he's on his... I see. He's on his last life, and I think he needed health to be able to even do the skip. Or no, that makes no sense because you would be at full life exiting your tank anyways. Whenever you enter and exit your tank, Jason regains all of his health.
I see, he's going... I just didn't understand why he did that other part. I mean, I guess he's going for this skip after all.
Yeah, I'm pretty confused also.
Well, meanwhile, we have SonOfOrpheus attacking a pair of flashing legs, which is how you know that we're at the final boss.
Yep, and that final boss is exploding. And it's dead. 36-21 on Orpheus's splits, SRL time of 36-32.
Well, meanwhile, Highlander has made the big skip and is now doing those little lava skips just fine, having no trouble with that. Let's see if he can get the last two. Too bad at all. Well, here we have a frog boss.
That is going to give Orpheus a 1-0 lead in this series so far. We're doing all of these races for this tournament as a best of 3, just to kind of normalize RNG a little bit in regards to hover RNG. But with that, Orpheus needs 1 more win. Highlander needs 2, so get ready, guys. There's going to be at least another half hour of Blaster Master here. Alright, so we have Highlander making his way back towards Area 8. He's gonna miss the first pink caterpillar, so he's really only gonna have 2 chances for the hover drop now. That's an interesting strat he tried on the fall. Alright, so one thing we didn't touch upon earlier in the race is the upgrade that they got from the Area 7 boss, Wall 2. It makes this game control horribly. It removes pretty much your entire ability to be able to jump and platform properly. Anytime you try jumping off the edge of a platform, the tank will just try to ride down the face of it, and that'll usually lead to bad things happening. Especially in Area 8, where rolling off the face of a platform is usually going to put you right into some spikes.
Well, we do have a hover for Highlander here, so he's gonna be able to hover across that spike pit. That's a very good thing. So really all he has to do is manage his health in here so that he doesn't have to take a safety death in the pink caterpillar room. And we're seeing some ceiling strats here. That's barely slower, and it is certainly less error prone than doing it the normal way.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely the strat I recommend any new runners to go with.
He has the hover, but he didn't get the hover off. Well, hopefully he'll use it now. But that was we saw that the other day as well. A player with the hover still didn't manage to get it, and I think it's because the wall. It's either the wall 2 that's messing up your hover, or it
I
is
actually figured
hitting
out
the
what it
ceiling.
is.
What is it then?
It's hitting the ceiling. If you try to hover on the same frame that you hit the ceiling, it cancels out your hover for whatever reason.
Bizarre.
I lost a run to that a couple nights ago, and after my stream I kind of busted out my EverDrive and did some testing with that. Yeah, so if you're going to do that, you either need to start hovering after you've already hit the ceiling, or preferably before you hit the ceiling. You got to be really quick with hitting jump and then hitting jump again for the hover.
Right. I like that method. I try to just mash them really fast, just 2 hits really fast.
Yep.
Because you can start hovering almost immediately after you jump.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely, I think, the safer way to go about it. Alright, he's in the final room here before the dungeon. Oh, that's
Oops.
gonna put him down to his last life.
Yep. Better hope nothing goes wrong here.
Yeah.
Yep, he just shot for that brief moment when the tank dips down the extra tile. He happened to shoot at just the wrong moment.
I've actually never seen that happen before.
I've seen someone fall in there, but it was not really... It was not like that. It was in a more deliberate manner. I don't think I've ever seen someone accidentally shoot the block and then go off the edge.
Alright, Highlander finishing up with the first of the 2 Area 8 bosses. That boss is pretty position based. You can get a lot quicker of a kill if you're standing in a good position against him. He's opting to go with the bottom right corner strat for the final boss, which is slightly slower but a lot safer. You can just mash at your own leisure. You don't have to keep up the 8 input per second mash that you do with the top right corner strat. As long as he's standing in this specific X positioning on his screen, the boss is unable to actually whip him. Yeah, it's gonna look like a
He doesn't have a
43:18 SRL time.
Oh, that's the SRL time. 43:18.
Alright, so that's going to conclude the first race. Again, Orpheus taking a 1-0 lead in this series. It looks like they're waiting for they're trying to do the dot rematch command. I don't think that works until somebody comes in and actually records the match.
Yeah, you can have we can have him hop into a new channel.
Alright, they just started a new channel, so we should be going in just a moment here. Alright, looks like they're readying up. Oh, they're going. Our streams should still be synced up pretty well, I think.
Hopefully.
Alright, so here we are again for more of the same. This is going to be like the 5th time you will have seen our racers gone through this screen tonight because of having to go back there in the last race.
Yep, that's true. We have been back here a little more than expected. Within the last race, both players soft locking in Area 7, trying to do the skip.
Yeah.
And we're doing best 2 out of 3 here, so that means SonOfOrpheus, if he wins this, has won the match, whereas at this point Highlander needs to win 2 matches. Or 2 games, rather.
Yep. Orpheus getting to the dungeon a little bit quicker than Highlander. Not too much though, only a couple seconds. Right, you'll notice Orpheus is cutting around these corners really tightly in the overhead sections. That's really important in this game. That actually saves a lot of time. You always want to be moving as close to corners as you can. You can actually hug the wall before the corner and then just hold diagonally and it'll automatically cut it optimally. See what kind of boss patterns we're going to get this time. Alright, Orpheus not getting the optimal pattern this time. Having to reset himself twice to kill the boss.
Yeah, and it's pretty minor. You don't lose that much time, but it's not insignificant, and generally players are pretty picky about how their first split goes.
Yeah, when I timed it out when I first came up with that optimal kill, I want to say, if I remember right, it was 0.5 to 0.6 seconds. If you get the optimal pattern. So yeah, again, nothing insignificant, but nothing too crazy either. It looked like Orpheus had to use an extra set of missiles on the wall monster. If that's the case, he's going to have to use one less set in Area 3. Well, no, not necessarily. Depending on what missile strats he does in Area 3, he might have some extras.
Yeah, it's not huge. I think you have at least one extra use of the missiles to spare.
See, I have kind of a weird missile route through Area 3, so I literally use each and every missile I have.
Oh, interesting. I think typically I have an extra 3 missiles by the time I hit the end. So it's enough for one stray shot.
Yeah. You should have 4, actually.
Oh, 4? Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's 4.
But yeah, I actually use all 4 of those. I even use the single missile in a specific place. It's just minor optimizations, nothing crazy.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with those missiles, because again, it's gonna create lag. Like, pretty much everything in this game, it creates lag, so you can't be firing missiles unless you know it's gonna be saving you time. Like, most things you try to kill with missiles, you'll end up losing time on.
Yeah. It's very situational when you should be using those missiles. And so our racers are really close. Orpheus is only about a half a room behind, or I'm sorry, Highlander is only about a half a room behind Orpheus right now. Highlander taking 2 bombs from the Flying Skull, though. That definitely put a hurting on his life meter, but he's got a couple quick health drops and Looks like he's going to be able to recover from it. Ooh, taking extra damage in the next room, though. It's usually not too big of a deal if your health gets kinda low in this game because enemies are very, very generous with their health drops usually. It's not to say I've never been screwed over by not getting health drops I needed before, but usually you'll get the health drops you need in this game.
Yeah, there's a pretty high drop rate. For some of the enemies, it's even around 40%, I would say, right? Average enemy. So almost half the enemies will drop something.
Yeah. Alright, Orpheus getting to the Area 2 boss, which he'll again be using the grenade glitch to dispatch.
Yep, and there it is. Just a matter of pausing at the right time. The moment the boss becomes vulnerable, you want to pause. You could do it later than that. It's just the longer you wait, it's going to be harder to keep the boss in one spot. The boss will start to move around. So you can even start mashing the grenades before the boss becomes vulnerable and just pause it when you start to see him take damage. But optimally, if you want to avoid as much lag as possible, you want to just fire one grenade at just the right time and then pause as it explodes.
Yep. And I've actually found that when your grenade's exploding, the very last frame of the grenade explosion, like, the sprites won't be visible, but they'll still have active hitboxes. So you can actually get a pause where there's no active grenade explosion sprites on screen, but the game's still dealing damage to the boss. And it does seem to help a little bit with lag, but again, probably nothing too crazy. Alright, this race is staying really close. Highlander's about a room behind Orpheus now. So the gap's opened up a little bit more, but nothing too significant. The room Highlander's going through right now, if you can kill an enemy on that screen and get a hover drop on screen, it'll despawn the first purple dropper in the next room, which pretty much eliminates all of the lag from that room. But due to the RNG nature of hover drops, it's not something you're going to get every run. It's just something where if an enemy's flying in a pattern that you can kill it without messing up your movement, kill it and hope for the best.
So this room right here, sometimes it can be kind of dangerous if you don't have this room that Orpheus is in. Actually, they're both in the same room. So yes, this room is one that you have to have a certain amount of health to get through it. And if you're really low on health here, this is, we were talking before about how it's sometimes, oh man, Highlander getting really stuck down there. But yeah, if you don't have enough health, this is probably the point in the run where you're going to die, this room or the next room. There really aren't a lot of places where you're in any kind of health crunch, but sometimes along here you have that.
Yeah. That's really about the only truly scary room in Area 3. There's a couple other rooms that you have to take mandatory damage to move optimally through the room, but that room is definitely the one that'll give you the most trouble, especially if you get a bad sine wave flyer spawn way at the end of the room that happens to kill you. You just lost 15 to 20 seconds.
Well, our two racers are in the same room right now. SonOfOrpheus exiting just as Highlander enters it. So still pretty close.
Oh, Highlander taking a bad death towards the end of the final room in Area 3. That's gonna cost him some time. He was really far into that room. So that's gonna give Orpheus a little bit of a chance to open up his lead a little bit.
Taking an interesting path through those blocks there. I think he realized that he wants to have at least some health for this boss. Generally, we try to be a little cautious in that room and come into this boss with as much health as possible, because you can really easily die at this boss. Coming in here with missing 3 boxes of health.
Yeah,
Get kind of dangerous.
That's what makes that boss such a run killer in any percent and warpless, is the fact that you don't take the death abuse in the previous room, so you're not gonna be at full health. Like, I'm happy if I enter that room with 3 bars of health in those categories. Usually I'm entering it with 2. Which, as you can imagine, fighting that boss with only 2 bars of health can lead to some pretty tense moments. But this category, you can take a death in that previous room because you have to death warp anyways, so you need to take a death anyways, so it's not really costing you any time to take that death. Yeah, Highlander so far getting a good boss kill out of this boss. Missing one of the box's first cycles. Alright. Might be in a little bit of trouble now. Oh, that... I hope that's not his last life. Okay, it wasn't. Yeah, it's really rough though. Alright, he got him that time. I didn't see what kind of hover RNG Orpheus got. He was too busy watching Highlander. But it looks like he's done with his hover farm and he's working towards Area 4 now. Looks like he's going to lose a little bit of time on his splits. Yeah, he lost about 10 seconds on that hover farm to his PB. So it was probably not a good hover farm then. Alright, we're coming up on the Area 4 skip here. Orpheus is going to turn around pretty much on the same frame that he enters that door, which is going to cause him to enter the door the wrong way, and it's going to run the door screen scroll routine backwards and kind of put him through to the other side of the room on the same screen. Essentially screen wrapping him and allowing him to move through the blocks and continue on into Area 5. It's doing another variation of that same thing here to bypass the block in Area 5. Normally you would just shoot those blocks with the tank and continue down, but we don't have the tank because we left it back in Area 4, so we have to glitch through the block like that. You could take, well, now that we're playing on the Japanese one, you could take a game over there and get your tank back, although it would be a time loss and it would be kind of pointless, but back when we ran the US version, you didn't have the continues to get your tank back, you had to glitch through those stones. Alright, Orpheus getting really low on life here. Looks like he's playing it kind of safe, killing some extra enemies so they don't snipe him. Alright, he's now down to his last life. He's going to have to take a death warp after this next boss, so he's down on his last life so that the next death will give him a game over, which he can use to death warp. He's also going to run down his life as low as he can before he goes into the boss room, so optimally he will only take 1 tick of damage to take a game over after killing the boss. It's not always going to work out that way though, but optimally you'll take 1 tick. As long as you're not standing there for multiple seconds waiting to die, you're not really losing any time. Got it on the first pause. Nice. Alright, so he has 2 bars of health, so it's going to be at least 3 ticks of damage for him to die now. 4 ticks, okay. So he lost about a second to that death abuse. Nothing too major.
Yeah, it's tough because you don't want to go too overboard there because that's your, that's your last life and your last bit of health. And if you end up dying after you've killed the boss, I've died a bunch of times after I killed the boss.
Oh yeah, me too.
Just trying to walk back over to pick up the item. And that really sucks. So I try to give myself at least an extra hit in case something really bad happens. We saw in the race that we did like a couple of days ago, we saw that happen to one of the players. He died after killing the boss, right? But before picking the item up?
Correct. As he was walking back, he got sniped by one of the lasers on the ceiling.
Right. In fact, I think, wasn't the boss even still technically alive, so it didn't count as being dead? Or something like that? I think he had to refight the boss.
I don't recall that. I don't know. I mean, that might have happened, I just don't remember, really.
Yeah, I seem to remember for some reason the boss wasn't flagged as dead.
Why does this game remind you of Goonies on some stage designs?
Goonies, huh?
That's not even a Sunsoft game, so I don't know.
So we see right here Highlander being extra safe, just killing all those things off so that nothing accidentally damages him.
Looks like he's just gonna wait at the door. Okay. And he got the glitch, no problem. Doesn't have any enemies to worry about. He's just free to kill the boss. He does have 7 bars of health, so he's gonna lose about 3 to 4 seconds on this death warp.
Yeah, that was probably overkill and wiping out everything, you know. You might want to have left something to take some damage off of, but no, I understand he doesn't want to end up running into the situation that we just talked about where he uses up his last life by accident.
Yeah, for sure. It's a safety strat. I can respect that. That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Oh, wait, those were homing missiles. The way those homing missiles shot, it looked like he fired 3-way missiles. That was weird. Anyways, this next room Orpheus is going to be going into, this is a really hard room to do optimally. You want to kill as many enemies as you can, and ideally you want to jump up as soon as you can, and that can be tricky with the way the ice physics work. That's why I don't even try to jump up early, I just go all the way to the edge and fire upwards, which is a little bit of a time loss, don't get me wrong, but still. Okay, so Orpheus is going to be getting his health really low here. He's going to be taking a death abuse in 2 rooms on some spikes that are really close to the entrance of the room. He's then going to be taking more damage along the way to the boss, so that just like in Area 5 after he kills the boss, ideally he only wants to take 1 tick of damage before he dies. Alright, so now Orpheus is going to be able to walk over the last 2 spike pits in this room. Oh, he's grabbing an extra power drop. That's interesting. Yeah, he's at 2 bars of health. He's going to be able to take a really quick death abuse after this boss.
And he's just got to hope that he doesn't die at the boss, but that's fine. The only chance he would have of dying at this boss is if he's zombies.
And it looked like that's exactly what it was going to do for a second.
Yeah, it looked like you saw those bullets fire off, but the boss pretty much stayed. Yeah, he came out of it.
That's what seems to happen most of the time in the Japanese version. Even if it goes into zombie mode, it quickly snaps out of it. I've only seen it go into like full-on zombie mode like once, and it wasn't me that it happened to. So we're going to see Orpheus taking a couple more deaths. Because as you guys have probably guessed by now, he's going to be taking another death warp. This time to get back through the locked gate in Area 4 that he skipped the first time. Because of it being skipped, he doesn't have the key to get back through it, so the only way to get him and his tank back through to the other side is to jump off this ladder 4 times. Or do the swag ejector seat glitch and then jump off the ladder 3 times. Either way. We've seen Dragoon showing off the ejector seat glitch last race 2 nights ago. It's pretty much if you exit your tank and jump on the same frame, you will jump out of your tank. That's really all it is. It's quite simple. You just have to hit select and A on the same frame.
Looks like Highlander having a little trouble with these ice blocks here. You get pushed out. What happens is every time you pause the game and then unpause it again, it respawns all of the breakable blocks, except it figures out which blocks you're standing on, and it will not spawn blocks on top of your tank. The problem is sometimes it's not very accurate in guessing where your tank is, and so it'll spawn blocks on top of your tank and pop you right out of the wall. It can happen. You have to be pretty far to the right to get to make sure that that doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, it's usually if you have the tank on what would be a half tile internally in the game.
Right, yeah. If you're over too far to the left, then it'll realize that, or then it'll decide that you're not in the wall, and it'll get you out of it. But fortunately, it's not too hard to deal with.
Yeah. Highlander taking it a little bit safer, entering the boss room with 5 bars of health. So he's gonna have a little bit slower of a death abuse leaving here than Orpheus did. But he's still very much in this race. If Orpheus soft blocks again, it's anybody's race all over again.
That's right, we saw a double soft lock in the last race, so we know both of these players are doing something that is putting them at risk of soft locking, so we'll see if we get that from either of the players this time. Well, the infamous Area 7.
Yep, best music in the game in my opinion. Definitely I'd say the common favorite from this game. I hear most people say that this or Area 3 is their favorite. And if Greenleaf Effect is in chat, he would be yelling at me right now if I didn't mention Area 5 as well. But I mean, the game's just got a solid soundtrack.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. Like, you could make a case for pretty much all the tracks in the game as being best track, so... Oh, he shot too far. Too far. Too far again. You'll get it. There you go. You had to know exactly the right spot to get that flashing P. And if you're not in the right spot, you won't end up in the little Swiss cheese hole that lets you change directions.
Correct.
pretty precise where you have to stop there.
And the worst is when you actually need that flashing health drop and it doesn't spawn.
Oh, that can happen, huh?
Yeah, there's a chance that it won't spawn. I don't know if it's just like a random chance of it being there when you enter the room type of thing, or if it's maybe if you're mashing out shots too quick, there's too many active objects on the screen and it can't draw the hover drop. I don't know what exactly it is, but it definitely doesn't spawn every time. It spawns more often than not, but it's definitely not something that's a guaranteed health drop. Orpheus using these small hover optimizations to save a second or two in that room. Going for the skip again. Let's hope it works out for him. It's the third screen wrap. He needs one more. Now he's gonna leave this room to the right, which will put him in the next room, but his internal positioning is offset by 4 tiles. So even though the platforms are showing on screen in one place, they're in actuality 4 tiles to the left. And by crawling and then walking off, by crawling off the edge of a platform, it's reducing the damage he takes from falling off the platform. Without crawl dropping off some of those platforms, you cannot survive that room.
Ooh, he took the safe way of doing those lava boosts, waiting for the enemy to walk on top of you and then going, but he still ended up dying anyway. He's gotta hope he gets this one. There we go. He's all out of lives, so if he were to take another death here accidentally, he would be in real bad shape. Okay, good. He made it across that one. That's the only other one that you gotta really worry about. This last one's free.
Yeah. Like, you just have to be standing on the right-hand side of that walkway and just hold up. And there's not, like, any specific X positioning. As long as you're not all the way to the left on that walkway, you're fine.
Here we got the frog. He hops 4 times, and then we grenade him, and that's it. Seeing a lot of lag there on Highlander's screen. That sometimes that room can be really bad. It depends on when those sine wave flyers appear. Not much you can do about that. It's one of those random factors that you don't have any control over.
And if you just try to kill the ones that you can and try to reduce it as much as you can, but if the game wants to lag you out there, it's going to lag you out. Orpheus getting the first try hover drop on the way to 8, so that's going to give him some peace of mind along the way to Area 8.
Yeah, that's
Doesn't
very
have to
nice.
worry about getting it. He's also getting the Feasel cut-in strat.
Yep, you got that right. Looks good. Fester's Quest. Yeah, the Fester's Quest tournament will start after this is over.
Please tell me that was in jest.
I don't know if there's more than 2 people that run Fester's Quest, so that wouldn't be much of a tournament.
Okay. I can't tell with you sometimes, Feasel.
Well, you know, Fester's Quest could happen. I wouldn't say no to it, a Fester's Quest tournament.
Alright, so as long as Orpheus doesn't get knocked off the ceiling here, he's in really good shape. Alright, he did not get knocked off the ceiling.
I was worried that he was going to get knocked off just because you said that.
I don't quite get what Highlander's doing.
Was he farming for... Oh, I don't know now. I thought he was farming for hover. Well, he's got a hover, but I don't know what he wants with it.
Is he just skipping that skip? I think he's just going to skip the Area 7 skip. Yeah.
So that's why he went for the hover, but you don't need the hover. I guess he just is more comfortable doing the hover strats right before the boss there.
Yeah, maybe.
But But yeah, that one you don't technically need, even though you don't have the ceiling walk, you can get high enough up that you can get over there without hovering. Really low health there on Orpheus's stream. I think he's going to end up taking an intentional death here. Oh yeah, he's going right into the spikes.
Probably a smart move in a race.
With 1 bar of health in this
Yeah.
room, if you just get bad drops from the caterpillars, bar of health.
Oh, rolling right into the spike pit. And back to 1 bar of health. Ouch.
Made it though. If you can get through this room with any amount of health, you're fine. Well, I don't know. You have to be kind of careful in this last room, but there's
Yeah.
enough things that you kill that you can pick up some drops.
If I'm at 2 bars or less in this room, I get nervous because depending on what your actual health value is, sometimes at 2 bars, one of those drops from the skulls can take you out.
And yeah, we have Highlander taking a death there, and I think it's because he doesn't know that you can do that without hover. That's why he went back to get the hover earlier. That's why he was farming in that room, and that's why he took the intentional game over there. I actually didn't know for quite a while that you could do that, or I had forgotten that you could do that without hover. Just because I was only watching speedruns of it and everyone hovers there. But yeah, you don't need it. And he's a new player to the game, so coming up with backup strats is usually not the first thing that you work on when you're new to a game. First, you learn the route that you want to take and just practice that, and then you learn the alternatives as needed. But yeah, it's tough going right into a race, into a tournament rather, where you have to be able to use all your backup strats.
Yeah, and I mean, he's not alone in that boat. There's a few people that are really new to this game that have joined the tournament, so it's going to be interesting to see how some of these players develop their own backups for stuff as time progresses throughout this tournament. It's another benefit of going with the round robin format is it's not just, hey, you lost twice, now you're done. We'll actually get to see some of them come up with new strats and improve their times throughout the tournament.
Yep, and we're going to get to see some balanced matches between people with very similar PBs at all kinds of levels, the low levels and the high levels, because just because of the way the pairings work.
Indeed.
Versus a single or double elimination tournament where the lower PB players get knocked out, or the higher PB players, I guess, get knocked out and don't ever end up facing each other.
Alright, Highlander's going for the skip.
Alright, 4 screen wraps. We go through the door here. Going to see him crouch right there because he wants to be crawling as he falls off the ledge, because that makes you take less fall damage. And he's got to do that the 3rd time. Right here, the pause has to be as soon as you're out of the wall, but before you hit the ground. And that pause, it essentially undoes the screen wrapping. The effect of the screen wrapping glitch is that it shifts all the hitboxes over by a tile every time. And so when you pause and unpause, that undoes that shift, puts you back inbounds in the place that you want to be.
Yes, and that's actually a new development, is that method of getting that skip. There is another way that involves doing the door wrap 5 times instead of 4, and then you kind of just fall directly through a wall and bounce in front of the door while you're dead and hope to nail the door entry on a single frame that it'll allow it while you're dead. And if you fail it, you soft lock. That's a really risky way of doing it, and the new strat is technically slower, but it's so much safer that I don't see anybody going back to the old strat anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the times are that bad, or the times are that optimized yet where you need that extra couple seconds to be in the top 3 or whatever. Alright, so Highlander's making his way back towards Area 8 now. See if he gets the hover drop here. He misses the caterpillar. Ouch.
It's a little tricky hitting that caterpillar. It's in an awkward spot where it turns the corner just the same time that your tank would turn the corner, and I don't know, you have to sort of get used to the timing window. I
Yeah.
always kind of like the old strat of just going up the wall and just pausing there and shooting it as it goes off the cliff. It's definitely slower, but it's consistent, so I like.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
I agree.
gotta go the right way here. Nope. Go.
Yeah, you can tell that Highlander's still really new to this game, and for how new he is to the game, he's not playing bad at all. I mean,
Yeah, it seems like when he knows where to go and doesn't, mess up any of the strats, he seems to be have pretty solid execution in these rooms. I'm not really seeing him lose a lot of time in most of these rooms. There's really just been a few big things that set him back.
yeah, and that's all stuff he's going to have time to work out as the tournament progresses.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Alright, he got the hover drop from the turret, so at least he doesn't have to go hoverless in the spike pit room. Right now, with this win, Orpheus is 2-0 in this series, meaning he wins this matchup. That does not mean that Highlander is eliminated, however. This is a round-robin format, so in his round, he still has another 4 matches to play. Or in his bracket, I should say. He has another 4 matches to play. And it's the 2 people in each bracket with the best win-loss record move on to the actual proper elimination tournament. That is, I am correct in that, right, Fiesel? That
Yeah.
sounds right.
The 2 people who win the most matches. Mm-hmm.
Alright. Alright, we have Highlander in the Hell Room with 1 bar of health. He's not opting to take that. Oh, 2 bars of health. He got a
at
health
least he
drop.
gets the P. Oh man, he grabs a
He's
couple
farming.
more.
Okay. Good strat. Definitely good strat. He's back
Yeah,
at
may as
5
well go.
bars.
Yep, I may as well do that.
I mean,
That's still faster than taking the death.
You think? I was gonna say that I think that was probably still about just as slow as taking a death.
Oh,
Ooh,
no,
taking
he
the
didn't
death
make it.
anyways, though. Ouch.
I think that it may have been as slow as taking the death in that particular instance, but I don't know, I think that if he had not missed, he had a couple of missed jumps in there, I think that he could have done that faster than death, even, with his method, I think it would have been faster.
No, he did at the end of the Hell Room that time. He was getting hit by the caterpillar as he went into the spikes, which kind of negated the spike damage and let him only take 1 damage instead of 2. If he would have actually taken spike damage there, he would be in trouble right now.
I think the caterpillars do like half a bar of damage. The spikes do 2, so it's big difference.
Yeah, it's definitely a fractional amount of damage that it takes. It's looking like he's going to make it through this intestine room just fine. Alright. Highlander is heading into the final boss chamber now, finishing off this run. I guess this would be a good time to go over the upcoming races on our schedule. Just give me 1 second while I pull that up, guys.
In the meantime, we're watching this fight, mostly position-based. You got to be in just the right spot, because that head of the boss is moving up and down. And there's a spot that you can be at where regardless of where the head's position is, your grenade will be able to hit it. and it's a pretty narrow window, pretty much like 1 or 2 pixels that you have to be standing on to get it to work. But once you find that spot, all you need to do is mash A and start, and you're good to go. And here we see the lower right corner strat. As long as you're positioned in the correct place here, this boss will never do a diagonal whip shot, which is what would damage you. He'll just always do the straight whip shot.
Alright, and Highlander finishing up his run as well. We have a 32-17 from Orpheus and a 40-15 from HighlanderGCB as far as the SRL timing is concerned. Oh, Highlander just said in the SRL chat he forgot how to do 7 without the skip. So that explains
that's what was
the
going
confusion. Okay. Now, coming up on our schedule, we have Infested Rich and Concakes Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Thursday the 31st. We have me against Scribble Eye on the same day at 10 p.m. Eastern. Shining Dragoon and 09 at 4 p.m. Eastern on April 2nd. Mediocrity or Bust against Shining Dragoon shortly after that at 7 p.m. on April 2nd. And then Jam Evil against Scratch Dragon on March 30th, which would be tomorrow, at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's everything on the schedule for now.
Cool. Well, so far, only 2 races under our belt. We're still barely at the beginning of this tournament. This is very start of the tournament here, barely just begun. So much more Blaster Master to come along. We've got, let's see, I'll put the link in the chat here. You can get a link to the brackets and all of the tournament information, including the list of upcoming matches. Right there explains that second link right there will tell you exactly when the matches will happen. That's it. Make sure you follow these runners to thank them for the great show they put on for us today.
All right. Well, yeah, that's all I've got.
Yup. Commentaried out.
Commentaried out indeed. Yeah, thanks again for watching, everybody. Hopefully you guys are enjoying watching this tournament as much as we have enjoyed putting it together and organizing it and running in it.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.